chapter 6. My name is Nero, and today I've been given the privilege to share what contribution means to me. Mark chapter 6, starting verse 34. And basically, we're going to look at the story of the feeding of the 5,000 by Jesus. Mark 6, verse 34. It says, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. By this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. This is a remote place, they said, and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. But he answered, I'll give them something to eat. Does it say that? No. They'll give something to eat. Does it say that? No, it says, you give them something to eat. They said to him, that would take more than half a year's wages. Are we to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat? How many loaves do you have? He asked. Go and see. When they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he distributed the loaves himself. No, it says here, then he gave them to his disciples to distribute it to the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of men who had eaten was 5,000, and church says, Amen. Amen. So right off the bat, we can see Jesus' compassionate heart for the lost. And he put it in his schedule to teach the large crowd many things. The Bible records that there are 5,000 men, not including the women and the children, that came to listen. So imagine having church service in Scotiabank Arena. It's going to be packed. And we're going to see maybe Evan preach a whole sermon to the crowd, right? The Bible implies that Jesus had been teaching the large crowd till quite late. So we would assume that Jesus taught all day. And because he taught all day, we would assume that everybody were hungry. Oh, yeah. So now the disciples, they were like, you got to send them away, Jesus, because we don't have anything to feed them. But Jesus wasn't like that. He didn't want to send them away. Jesus said, I'll give them something to eat. No. Who said, no? Who said that? No. That's not my translation of the Bible. It says, Jesus said to give them something to eat. Amen, guys? Now, you're wondering, you're like, hey, Jesus, you're the Messiah. Jesus, you're the Son of God. Jesus, you perform miracles. You made someone speak. You made someone hear. You healed the blind. Like, why are you asking us to feed these people?
Yeah, great question.
So the question really, it's like, why would Jesus ask his disciples to give them something to eat? Right? And the reason why is because Jesus wanted to involve his disciples. He wanted to share the joy and the glory in producing miracles with his disciples. He used their resources that gave him to produce miracles and in the distribution of the food as well. Amen, guys? We can see here that, we can all agree that Jesus didn't need any help to produce miracles. Because he could have done it all by himself. He didn't need help. He wanted help. Jesus wanted help from us, from our resources, from our loaves of bread, from our fish. Amen, guys? Amen. And, the Bible records that there were 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. And that's the only available resources that they currently have. So we would all agree that these resources are too little, right?
Yeah, pretty.
But even our resources are too little. Jesus can multiply it. Even if we have the little resources that we have, it's already enough for Jesus. So with Jesus, he can do a lot with a little. If you offer to Jesus the little that you have, he can multiply it and meet the needs of all the people. So how is this related to contribution? For some of us, we tend to be hesitant in giving because we think, we don't believe that Jesus can produce awesome miracles even from just the little resources that we have. People feel discouraged to give because they think that the too little resources they have is not helpful to Jesus. So the challenge here is we have to believe. We have to believe that even though we have too little resources, right?
Come on, bro.
Jesus will multiply it and produce miracles through those resources. See, with your contribution will help the church hire full-time ministers to take off their time from secular jobs to work for God. Amen. Full-time. Work full-time. You see Dylan here, you see Evan, you see Kelly, you see Isaiah. Because of, their dedication and their time, we get to see Toby get baptized today. What's the challenge here? If you're capable of giving more than $1, then give more.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not, then give as much as you can.
Come on, bro.
We won't know the miracles Jesus will produce, but let us trust Him that He will do extraordinary miracles with the resources we give Him, just like the disciples.
Amen.
So, I want to close it off here with a little bit of inspiration.
Come on, bro.
Just imagine that single dollar, you give it to someone, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it to them, right? And that dollar, to buy coffee, right? Let's say we give it to Dylan. Hey, Dylan, I'm gonna give you $1, and Dylan goes to Tim Hortons, and in that line, that coffee, the dollar that he used to buy coffee, there's someone right behind him. It's like, oh. That's Anthony right behind me. I mean, like, he doesn't know who that person is, by the way. But he's like, I'm gonna just take this opportunity to share with this guy behind me. And so he looks at him, Anthony, I just want you to study the Bible with you. And Anthony was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking for a church. I wanna do it. And they study the Bible in 2 weeks. Anthony gets baptized, and it's like, wow. Just because of that $1. So, in order for the kingdom to grow, we need Jesus to produce miracles. And through our bread and fish, through our resources, through our giving, Jesus can produce such amazing miracles here in Canada and the whole world in this generation. Amen, guys. And so that's what contributions means to me. Even though you have even if you have little resources, just give. Just give and trust that Jesus is going to multiply it and produce a lot of miracles just from that. Amen, guys? Thank you guys for listening. To God be all the glory. Let us pray.